For the soul is freedom personified. God is freedom by definition, for God is limitless and without restriction of any kind. The soul is God miniaturized. Therefore, the soul rebels at any imposition of limitation and dies a new death each time it accepts boundaries from without. In this sense, birth itself is a death and death a birth. For in birth, the soul finds itself constricted within the awful limitations of a body, and at death escapes those constrictions again. It does the same thing during sleep. Back to freedom the soul flies, and rejoices once again with the expression and experience of its true nature. Yet can its true nature be expressed and experienced while with the body? That is the question you ask, and it drives to the very reason and purpose of life itself. For if life with the body is nothing more than a prison or a limitation, then what good can come of it? And what can be its function, much less its justification?
Yes, I suppose that is what I'm asking, and I ask it on behalf of all beings everywhere who have felt the awful constrictions of the human experience. All my life, I've been deeply frustrated by the world's inability to let me love everyone in exactly the way I've wanted to. When I was young, it was about not talking to strangers, not saying things inappropriately. I remember once walking down a street with my father. We came across a poor man begging for coins. I immediately felt sorry for this man and wanted to give him some of the pennies in my pocket. My father stopped me, brushed me past. "Trash," he said. "That's just trash." That was my father's label for all those who did not live up to his definitions of what it meant to be humans of worth. Later, I remember an experience of my older brother, who was no longer living with us, not being allowed into the house on Christmas Eve because of some argument he'd had with my father. I loved my brother and wanted him to be with us that night, but my father stopped him on the front porch and barred him from entering the home. My mother was devastated. It was her son from a previous marriage, and I was simply mystified. How could we not love or want my brother on Christmas Eve simply because of an argument? What kind of disagreement could be so bad that it would be allowed to ruin Christmas, when even wars were suspended for a 24-hour truce? This my little 7-year-old heart begged to know. As I grew older, I learned that it was not just anger that stopped the love from flowing, but also fear. That was why we oughtn't talk to strangers, but not just when we were defenseless children. Also when we were adults. I learned that it was just not okay to openly and eagerly meet and greet strangers, and that there were certain etiquettes to be followed with people to whom you had just been introduced, none of which made sense to me. I wanted to know everything about that new person, and I wanted them to know everything